very Oh, yeah.
Exactly, hold on, 10:00,
Thank you.
10 o'clock. I appreciate everybody being on time, but some people aren't. So I normally give anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes grace period. Parking here is bad. So they can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we will be starting probably at around 10:04, which by my watch is now another 3 minutes. So if anybody wants coffee, please get it now. We'll be starting in approximately 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I gotta step out at 11 for a brief call, but I'll be right back. Shouldn't take.
Of course, great.
And feel free to use
Thank you
any
for
of the
being here.
offices.
Yeah,
You want to use my office?
right there.
Did you get the new update? Yes, sir.
Do I need to?
No, it changed the font, it made it really.
Jesus, stuff up. As I get older.
I'm happy. No, I'm happy. Your time.
Good morning.
Like, it's pretty.
That sounds like a very.
You don't get like a big.
I don't. I don't. I can't.
Turn it on.
Let me shut it. No, I know. I started writing them down. And I'm trying to pull up. Where's your fluffy? Oh, there's your fluffy dog.
Or.
No, it's okay. How are you? How are you?
You just got the.
Yay, you're here. Wow. Made it fatter.
They made it real fast.
Our guest star.
Whatever makes it look sure. It actually did.
I would have more time to go do fun stuff, right?
I'm at work. What's going on?
Update.
We've just had more people join us, and as I said, we will be starting at 10:04,
What-
which
What's
my
going on?
microphone is another 2 minutes.
Oh, I should. And we're making through later. There's gonna be a donation for her. I'm so sorry. I know.
Yeah.
Sam?
It's saying that somebody.
I can tell if this person wants to public comment is not in. But I take it anyhow. Okay. Okay, I would encourage people, if they want coffee, to get it now. We'll be starting at 10:03. We're starting at 10:04.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it. I love it. What a sweetie. Yes, she's under here.
According to Apple, it's now 10:04. So I am hereby calling the meeting to order. I would like to remind everybody that is attending virtually to please mute your phones when you are not speaking. And if everybody will rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Michelle Codiron, or Michelle Lincoln.
Lincoln,
Michelle Lincoln.
name change.
Okay.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Please take your seats. And we please will, whoever calls the roll, please call the roll.
Bailey? Kaplan?
Kaplan here.
Bates? Here. Corradino?
Here.
Burr?
Here.
Garcia? Gilbert? Goldberg?
Here.
Kaufman?
Here.
Lincoln? Here. McGee?
Are you still talking to anybody, or weren't you seeing a therapist or?
Ross?
something?
Somebody needs to mute their phone.
Good morning.
Thank you. Udine?
Here.
Ziotti? Here. Andriata? Moore?
Just muted him.
Yeah. Okay, Wynn? Mayors?
Here virtually.
Geller?
Here. Is there a quorum present?
Mr. Chair, if you will, just to make sure that that the record reflects is, would you temporarily appoint Mayor Ziotti and Mayor Cordino to the executive committee to make sure that should there be a question raised, we're probably a little shy of a full quorum, but it would be helpful to have that be done for the record.
I would like to appoint Mayor Ziotti and Mayor Corradino to temporarily to the executive committee. Thank you. Okey dokey. So we do not currently have a quorum for the SFRPC, but we do for the executive
And
committee.
all
Is that
members who
correct?
are present online under the statute are able to participate. That's correct.
Okey-dokey. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the council agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mayor Ziotti, seconded by Ms. Lincoln. President Lincoln, okay.
She's related, President Lincoln.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Show that adopted unanimously. We have certain presentations that occur at 10:45. So I think we can complete much of the rest of the agenda or most of the agenda or probably all of it prior to 10:45. So we will revert to the time certain when we get there. We have action items. Are there a motion to approve the minutes of the prior meeting, September 19th Executive Committee, September 19th Council, and October 17th Council?
Moved.
There a motion?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burr, seconded by Mayor Ross. Are there any additions or corrections? Are there any additions or corrections? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show the minutes adopted. Financial report. Leo, okay.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hope you guys are doing well. Beautiful morning to be in Florida. So if we go to page 1 and see our balance sheet, we'll see that our general fund finished with a total assets of $2,305,108. That's for the period of October 31st, 2022. There was a total increase of $959,255 from the previous month. In the federal, state, and local funds, the total assets net to $92,436, as well as total liabilities on fund balance, with an increase of $18,728 from the previous month. In the revolving loans fund, you will see $12,025,007, an increase of $6,973 from the previous month. And the Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute had no moves for the period. We go to page 2. You will see the new budget represented in for $3,328,000 for $848. We have received total revenues for 32% of the total budget during the first month. This is due to the receipt of the county dues. In the expense report, we have spent $148,000 to date. That's a 7% of the total budget. We're in good shape.
Excellent. Thank you. I have one question first for Ms. Cosio, and then we'll take any additional questions for Leo. Cosio, I know that we have put in a increase, but unfortunately, very small increase, but at least we're getting there.
Yes.
Over, I believe it's a 5-year glide path. Can you remind us how much that increase will be this year?
Okay, so for our next fiscal year, it will be 1.25.
This year we had, I believe, a 2.5%.
Correct. We went 2.5 from 17.5 to 20.
Right.
And then the board voted to continue on to 25 cents over the remaining 4-year period. So that's 1.25.
And how much of an increase will that provide? Do you know, or Leo, do you know? The 2.5 cents per person.
That was somewhere around $140,000.
No, not so much. I'm sorry, but every penny is about $50,000.
Right.
Okay.
So we did 2.5, right?
So it's
Yeah, well, I guess you're
125.
right. Yeah, so like,
That's
yeah,
right.
like 125.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't argue with the math.
Right. Okay. All right.
I've gone through those
Okay.
numbers a long time.
And I have one other question in terms of finance. I know that we need to be bringing on a deputy.
We need to bring in 3 people,
Okay, but 2 of them are replacements, right?
2 are replacements.
Okay, so that money's in the budget. Do we have sufficient funds in the budget that we're going to be able to bring on an additional person to basically, presumably, not necessarily serve as a transition.
So Leo was very forward-looking, and he did put money in the budget to help pay for a deputy director position. Now, sufficient is when negotiations happen.
Right.
So
But there is,
how much did we put in for the deputy, do you remember?
We put $125,000.
Right,
okay,
which is on the lower side, I think,
gotcha. All right,
South Florida.
I understand. All right, thank you. Are there any additional questions on finance? Are there any additional questions on finance? If not, there's a motion to approve the, do we need to approve the financial report?
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Roth, seconded by Commissioner Furr. During debate, seeing no debate, all those favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Show that adopted without objection. Thank you, Leo. We are now on the consent, the comprehensive plan amendment reviews. We have first, Sam, will you please read the proposed consent
Thank you.
calendar?
For the record, Mr. Chair, Senator Geller and members of the council, item 4C on the proposed items are as follows, all of which contain it and will have a public hearing affixed to each. It's Isla Mirada, Village of Islands, 22-02 ACSC, City of Key West, 22-04 ACSC, another City of Key West, 22-05 ACSC, Village of Pinecrest, 22-01 ESR. Those are all proposed, all
Thank you.
public hearings. Thank you.
Okay, yes,
Sam, I'm the mayor of Pinecrest. Can I vote on this?
The answer is yes, and let me state for the record, the reason why. Under Florida law, you are what's called a free dealer. You have a separate assigned role on this council from your city commission role in Pinecrest. The consequence of which is that by statute, you remember this group as opposed to by charter.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you had to recuse yourself because you represented somebody in Pinecrest, you'd have to recuse yourself here, but if you voted out on Pinecrest, you can vote on it here.
Thank you.
Okay, public hearing is now open on the proposed consent calendar. Is there anybody online? Is there anybody online? Is there anybody wishes to comment? Not hearing anyone, the public hearing on the consent comprehensive plan amendment reviews is now closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Michelle moves approval, Mayor Ross seconds. Is there any debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that adopted unanimously. We're now on the adopted consent agenda. On the adopted, Sam, will you please read the
Thank you,
agenda?
Mr. Chair. Senator Geller, members of the council, item 4C continues on with the adopted comprehensive plans as follows. The City of Dania Beach, 22-01 ESR, the City of Fort Lauderdale, 22-01 ESR, City of Marathon, 22-07 ACSC, and lastly, the City of West Park, 22-01 ER, all of which contain a public hearing component for the public record. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open on all of the adopted consent public hearing items. Is there, yes, Commissioner
Question
Furr.
on the Dania Beach one,
Yes, sir.
this is for the water supply facilities work plan. They are like overextended on what they're allowed on their water. Did this cover all that? You know, how everybody got.
Refer to the analysis from the Water Management District
Yeah,
and related to Lower East Coast Water Supply Plan. So,
you know what I'm talking about, with the,
not in specific detail. Christina's more familiar with the specific details of
Commissioner
individual.
Furr, I believe this is your commission district, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Okay.
and I know I've been trying to work with them a little bit,
Right.
because they're having to figure out where to get more water. And I don't know, I'm hoping this is,
Like it says the amendment incorporates a water supply facilities work plan update. So
Yeah.
I would hope that it would be addressing.
I was talking with them just a month or two ago, and I hadn't heard it. So I'm, when I see this, I'm like,
Commissioner Furr, do you want to
Well, you know,
adopt this? Do you want to defer this?
no, I want to go, I want to move it, but I do want to know how they're doing it.
So we can.
So
follow up on
yeah,
that.
follow up on me.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. That's helpful.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this? Is there any public comment? Is there anyone who wishes to comment? Going. Yes.
Sorry, just to follow up with Councilmember First, I would recommend that we add that we make sure that we recommend that Dania Beach follows up on with Water Management District on any of their concerns. as a caveat to what we put in our.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is, and I think you're on the water advisory board, so.
Sure, yeah.
What it is, with the C.
11.
Not that
Oh, the C50,
What?
C51?
one. And yeah, I never know the number.
What, right,
But there was allotments bought by different cities.
right.
Being,
Mhm.
No, it's a big,
I mean-
big reservoir,
yeah,
C51.
and I think they were going to have to ask Miami-Dade, because Miami-Dade bought a bunch of for an allocation.
Well,
So I guess I'm wanting to see if that's what.
okay, hopefully, I believe that they've sold out close to 100% or 100% of the allocation of phase one. I was about to say, once they had finished that, they were planning on doing a phase two. All right, so I've asked for any public comment and not having heard any, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any additional debate among any of the council members? Commissioner Furr, are you okay with this?
Yep.
All right. Is there any additional debate? Seeing no debate, all those favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Show all of the consent public hearing adopted. We are now on D, regional issues, none. E, meeting schedule. This is different and important. We normally don't plan this far ahead. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to postpone this just until the end, because this actually fits in very well with our planning conversation, because the planning conversation and the calendar are really closely related. So I'm going to put this off, unless anyone objects. I'm going to put this off, postpone this till we get into our planning conversation. And now, appointment of the nominating committee. I hereby, pursuant to our rules, we must appoint nominating committee with 3 members, 1 from each county. The immediate past chair, Chair Bailey, is automatically a member. The other 2 people I will be appointing. I will appoint Vice Chair Kaufman as chair of the nominating committee, and I will appoint Mayor Udine as the Broward County representative on the nominating committee.
Anybody looking for stuff?
Yeah, so the
Thank you
nominating,
much.
the nominating committee will consist of Kaufman as chair, Bailey and Udine as the other 2 representatives.
Can I ask you-
Yes. Well, yes,
Mike.
Mayor.
Thank you. This may be a little bit out of order, but it's difficult. I can't speak to any other council members on this issue. I'm happy to serve on the nominating committee this year, but maybe this is a question for Sam. This is going to be a very interesting year for the council, because this is the year that we'll transition to a new executive director. Am I allowed to make a motion? I don't even know who the officers are right now. All I know is Senator Geller is the chair. Could I make a motion to have the same officers serve next year so that we continue with the continuity, at least on the leadership end, while we all that needs to be done, and short circuit this?
If you'll give me a minute, Mr. Mayor, good morning. Nice to see you here this morning.
I probably should have asked you this before this, but I just,
Okay. The rules actually provide for a mandatory nominating committee. However, the rules are established by this council. These are your rules. And there's nothing in the rules, in my opinion, if you let me just give me a moment. Essentially, we know that there shall be an annual election of officers shall be held in January at the meeting of each year. But there's nothing specific in the provisions that would allow the council as the organizing body under the rules to make a command decision such as this.
Mayor Udine, what might, I think, in order to avoid any controversy, if that's your pleasure, and again, I would recommend speaking with Mayor Kaufman, who I've done as vice chair. You can make that same motion at the nominating committee. I just think we have to have a nominating committee.
Regrettably, if I may, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there is actually a provision under the rules under section 8.0 that does in fact, seems to require that it be a nominating committee.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate your kind words or confidence. So let me, feel free to make that motion. You're on the nominating committee, but right now, without, thank you, without objection, again, Mayor Kaufman is chair. Commissioner Udine and former Chair Bailey will be the nominating committee. On the FRICA policy board, we have a vacancy. It is my understanding on board due to the, and I will segue from here. Oh no, I still have it on my agenda for Mayor Ziotti under presentation. So, but due to Mayor Ziotti no longer being on this, I will, this must be a municipal representative, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I will ask, I understand that Mayor or former Mayor Kaplan has expressed some interest. Is there any other municipal, actually, Isabel, for those people that may not be familiar with what FRICA is, can you explain, it's the
Yes.
Florida Regional Planning Council, but can you explain what the FRICA
Absolutely.
board does?
Oh.
And if there's any municipal representative that is interested, please let me know. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, the Florida Regional Councils Association is the association, obviously, of the regional councils. And there's 10 regional councils. Twice a year, the elected officials and appointed officials from the regional councils get together to have updates, to have policy conversations, to hear from subject matter experts, et cetera. So each council appoints a municipal representative, a county representative, and a gubernatorial appointee. Ideally, that's the three that you would want. So Mayor Ziotti kindly has been serving in the role as municipal appointee. And since today is her day as mayor, but tomorrow is not, and we have a January policy board meeting coming up, we need a municipal appointee to serve on the FRICA board. And what it will require is travel twice a year. January, there's policy board meeting in Tallahassee. And then in the summer, in June, there's typically a meeting in the Tampa, Orlando area where the members get together and they talk a lot.
All right,
So,
I do not plan on making this appointment today.
well, that's
But
before the council meeting.
we'll do it this afternoon, I may
Okay,
do it
okay.
tomorrow. But what I want to do is just give everybody an opportunity that is interested in serving to let me know. It's 10:25, I think we'll be done around 12. I'd like, if there is anybody that would like to serve on the FRICA board, remember, you must be a municipal appointment. We have 3 categories: county, municipal, and governor's appointments. This is only open to municipal. Please let me know by 2:00 today,
Perfect.
or either me or Isabel, because I would like to make the appointment, but in fairness, I just want to give everybody a chance to apply.
Yes.
So if anybody is interested, you can tell me now. If not, please let me know by 2:00. And if nobody applies, no one is interested, I'll be drafting somebody, but I'll check with you before I appoint you. So.
Senator,
Yes,
Kaplan here. I've served on this with FRICA previously. I always thought it was a worthwhile investment if taken seriously. I'm happy to do it again.
okay. Let me see whether or not there is anyone else. I have had your name candidly penciled in, but in fairness, I just want to see if there's anyone else that is interested in that, but I will make the appointment today by the close of business today. So, let me check right now. Is there anyone else that's interested? If there's no one else that's interested. Anyone going, gone? Mayor Kaplan, you're reappointed.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Let's see, public items. I'm sorry, before we do that, public comments. We have received one request for public comments. Sam, what is the time?
The time is for 3
Well,
minutes.
3 minutes. Is there a Drew Martin attending? Drew Martin. Drew Martin, are you on the phone? Drew Martin, you indicated you wish to comment. This is your last call. A lot of calls here, last call for Drew Martin. If not, show the public hearing, the public comment period opened and closed. All right, I think going to go out of order before we go to the public comments.
We always run out of time before we can.
Okay, why don't we do?
We can do that.
Okay, Jeff Tart, where is he? I saw you're hiding in the back. Okay,
Good morning, council members. Jeff Tart here, Senior Loan Officer and Manager of the Revolving Loan Fund Programs. Thank you for taking me earlier, by the way.
Come over here, Jeff, if you don't mind. That way with the camera can get you. So you won't be the disembodied voice in the back. There you go. Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you.
A few quick announcements from the RLF world here on October 22nd at the Hilton Hotel and Convention Center in Miami. Our revolving loan fund program received the Business Capital Assistance Award at the 40th Annual MedWeek Legacy Awards. That was hosted by M. Gill and Associates, the City of Miami, and the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. Marie Gill of M. Gill and Associates is an board member and oversees a federally sponsored technical assistance organization that helps minority businesses prepare for financial assistance, many of whom are our borrowers as well. And in attendance were 4 of our borrowers, along with our administration team that was being honored. In regards to our CARES Act RLF program, to date, the program provided $6.7 million to 32 businesses with the tools and resources needed to continue the recovery from the COVID pandemic. As a result of our program success, the SFRPC's RLF program has been recognized by the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration as a success story due to the council's great work with the CARES Act program. In addition, the EDA just recently conveyed to the SFRPC that our CARES Act program received the highest annual rating, which was an A, which was really great news. And the program will continue to assist new borrowers with future loans as loans are repaid throughout the revolving phase of the program. In regards to the traditional RLF, the program continues to overall perform well with total assets of $5.7 million. We serve 25 borrowers. Goran Charaf, our legal counsel, continues to do a great job and provide us informative updates on our one historical borrower in litigation since 2017. That's Angela Dawson. Further details with that could be found in the attached RLF status report. And finally, lastly, as it pertains to our affordable housing initiative program, that's overseen by the Southeast Florida Community Development Fund, which we administer. We're in the process of completing the construction of 6 new affordable housing homes, the 6 new affordable single-family homes for first-time minority home buyers. That's in the Lauderhill CRA, plus 2 in the city of Hollywood. So that's great news. The Lauderhill project, just to remind everyone, was made possible through the award to the Southeast Florida Community Development Fund by the HFA of Broward County. And recently our board just approved a new project to build out 2 new a new 2-family duplex in Dania Beach. And that's pretty much it. Again, thank you everybody for your support. We are making a great impact in our local community. So thank you.
thank you. Now, let me ask you a question, Ms. Tart. Was that just the SFRPC revolving loan, or did that also include the CARES Act?
the award that we
No,
received.
no, your report.
Oh, that included the CARES and the traditional ROF. Yeah.
Great. Are there any questions for Mr. Tart? Are there any questions? Yes, Commissioner Fur.
How much capacity do we have for more projects?
For affordable housing. We do have a backlog. We constantly are reaching out. We've done a great effort by reaching out to a lot of the Broward County municipalities. I've been doing it myself. So we've been setting up as many meetings with those economic development officers in each of those municipalities. Making them aware that we do have funding available. We do have a pipeline that we have. But we want to keep the process going. So I like to have a pipeline because we do have not just the HFA money, but we also have the Broward County money as well. So so we do have a small pipeline, but I continue to balance it because I don't want to overpromise.
Right, I guess I'm asking how much in millions we have, hopefully it's millions.
Yeah.
Available.
Right, well, we had $1 million from HFA, we had $1 million from Broward County, and we also had 500,000 from our initial, so we have 2.5 million.
Those are fully committed at this time, right?
Yeah, $1.5 million is fully committed. The other $1 million, we just got awarded back in June, so we have a pipeline for that $1 million as well.
I mean, we'll lend as much as you give us.
Yeah.
I know you
And this is an infill project. It's great. You know, it's first time minority home buyers that are getting out of the rental pool. The whole purpose is to get them out of the rental pool into home ownership.
Thank you, sir. Are there any, yes,
Here, while Jeff's at the podium, just as a reference, you've seen in the backup, the Dawson litigation, without getting into any pejorative comments about the issue of the litigation itself. We have a hearing on December the 2nd before the judge who's overseeing the case at the Broward Circuit Court to dismiss the 3rd and 4th amended counterclaim. We also will then have a motion for summary judgment pending. This is a case which has been going on for a long time, and better said that that's the most I can say on the record. Any questions you may have, I'll be happy to respond privately and directly, but it's been I don't want to use the word vexatious, but it's been vexatious to us to have to deal with it. That's all.
I fully understand, and I would prefer that there not be any additional comments on the record about that
Thank you,
case.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Costa.
So I just want to really point out the fact that this letter from EDA talking about our program says we're an A-rank program. That was not always the case. So there was a point soon after I took over that the program was struggling a lot. We had a lot of.
We were considering ending it, weren't we, at one point?
At one point, we were
Yes.
thinking about maybe ending it, and we worked a lot, and a lot of I mean, honestly, Jeff came on board, we threw up our hands, said, oh, thank God we have a banker. So he came, and through his hard work and the work of the board, also the advice we had from our board, we're now A. We were C.
We're A what?
We were in very bad shape for a while. So, and this really, if you look at that thing, it looks at the risk measures. And I just wanted to say thank you, Jeff, and thank you to our board and our RLF board and all of you. But I just think that's really important to recognize because that is a sea change from
Yes.
where we were.
A C to an A change.
C to an A.
Mr. Lawrence, do these need to be adopted?
They
No.
do. Well,
Okay.
actually, do the information only, but to the extent that they're reports, you can accept them, but they're just reports.
Okay, in that case,
Correct.
are there any additional questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Tartar.
Yeah.
We went out of order because I was told that we don't get to Mr. Tart's comments sometimes, so I'm going to revert back to the discussion items. I will remind everybody that our main topic for today's meeting is a planning meeting. And so at approximately 11 o'clock, we're going to spend the rest of the meeting on our long-range planning, what we're going to be doing at least for the next year. So to those, please try and stay. You know me, I finish our meetings on time. We'll be done at 12. Executive, to revert back to the executive public comments. I'm sorry, our number 5 discussion items. Ms. Cosillo Carvalho, could you also include in your remarks the DRI status report?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you. I will be brief. We have been working on a development of regional impact City Park and South Miami-Dade. And I want to let you know that the process is moving along. Sam has been very engaged with staff, members of commenting agencies. And we have gone now through a first round, well, I wouldn't put it that way, but we have made suggestions to the applicant for things, data they need to provide. Christina, I will go ahead if you want to update the board on where we are with that.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Christina Miskis, Principal Planner from Council. We did receive a response actually within the last couple of days from the applicant in response to state review agencies on methodology, essentially. So the next step is the agreement to delete. And we'll be moving forward with the application.
Thank you. And for everyone, this is, I believe, this is the one in South Dade, the question right at the urban development boundary to expand it.
Yes.
The county commission, Miami-Dade County Commission passed this. The mayor and former chair of
It's a
the different project.
Yeah, this is 1,000 acres just to the west of the Miami Executive Airport. It has not reached the commission yet.
Good.
It's really just the DRI stage at the moment. It is outside the UDP. So you
Okay,
can-
well, in that case, never mind.
But the logistics, that's the Trade and Logistics Center
Right.
centers when you're talking about,
Yes.
there is an article in the article section that talks about that project in particular. As you remember, when it came here, it was in October of 2021. It was a very
We had a vote on
conversation.
that a month ago. I'm talking about the one we had a vote on a month ago.
That's a different one. So that,
That
and
was,
I
I
do-
thought, the trust.
right, so
center.
that's a different one. Yes,
Okay.
because they're all there. So the Trade and Logistics Center is the one that was passed on, I think, the fourth or fifth time by the commission and was subsequently vetoed. And the veto was overturned. So
Right.
there's that one. That project has changed a lot. It was much larger when it started out than it is now. And we're waiting to.
My understanding is we had received adverse comments from the South Florida Water Management District. Was that on
The
the
truck
current,
stop.
the truck
So
stop,
then there's that. Okay, so if you look in your minutes.
which is the one that the mayor vetoed and or
No,
vetoed?
no,
So
no.
that's
No,
a
that's a
different
different
one.
one. The mayor-
How many things are there to
Three.
expand the urban
Three,
development
all
boundary
of
down?
them.
The fictitious urban development boundary.
Yeah, well, so if you look in your minutes of October 17, 2022, you'll remember that we had a conversation about, and I know that our friend Joe Goldstein's on, he's the developer applicant. Right? But anyway, you'll recall that we had the conversation about a drug
All right.
expanded and.
Ms. Cotoco, here, I don't want to get into the merits on this. I'm just trying to find out.
Yes.
All right, so it was approved by Dade County. It came to us. We basically said we can't cut, we're
Right.
rejecting it because we don't have the information
Right.
yet from the Water Management District.
And received extensive
You
comments.
received extensive comments then, which I believe you'd indicated were not support or raised concerns
From the district.
from the
Yes,
South
yes,
Florida
yes,
Water
yes,
Management
yes.
District. The mayor of Miami-Dade vetoed this. Her veto was overridden.
No.
This isn't what she vetoed.
No,
Okay,
but it.
well, can you just tell me where
so I'm gonna tell you 1, 2,
procedurally
3.
on this one, we're on the one that was in front of us last month?
Okay, where
I
we.
just want to
I
know
have
where
that.
we are
We have that.
and if it will come back to us, and if so, at what time?
Okay, so this is from we as staff made sure to call and find out where everything was. So the response we received from Mr. Goldstein is that they're working through the application, particularly with finding the use. They have met with RER and others on county staff. No hearing has been scheduled on it yet. And again, Mr. Goldstein's on the thing, if you want to ask him additional.
I don't, nothing personal, Joe. You're a good guy, good lawyer, friend. I'm merely inquiring. I don't want to get into the merits. My question was limited to,
Where is it?
do we have another hearing on that scheduled? And the answer
Not at
is
this-
no.
At this time, no.
Okay, that concludes my questioning on this item. Okay, are there
All right.
any questions on any of the other or on any of the three items that in Dade County that our executive director just mentioned?
We have an eye on everything.
Okay.
And just to be clear,
Yes.
the project that came before us last month is not the one that was vetoed by the.
Correct.
I thought it was. Okay.
But I,
No, it's
but I
already-
thought
you know, there's a lot going on and you're all very busy people. I
Okay.
would not expect you all to keep track of
Gotcha.
every single thing.
All right. So
So,
we will, on the other two, will they also be coming in front of us or have they ready or?
okay, so the Trade and Logistics Center, that was the one that has shrunk a lot, was vetoed, and the veto was overturned. I expect that one will be coming to us. I'm not exactly sure on the timing.
Okay, and what is the third one?
And the third one is the DRI that we were discussing. And I know there's been some conversation there about changing boundaries and things.
So there are
That's not-
none
that's scheduled.
scheduled in front of us right
Nothing
now.
is scheduled now.
Concludes my questioning. I just wanted to know
I know.
if there's any
Yes.
scheduled in front of us. Do you have anything else to report?
Yes, I would just like to take a minute and recognize Ms. Alicia Lopez so that she can give a quick thing to update.
I understand another Scorpio.
Yes, it's gonna be very true.
Okay,
She's taking, it'll be very short.
we have determined that in the Scorpio period, which I think is October 20th to November 20th, it is Alicia's birthday, my birthday, and Sam's birthday. And while we're on birthdays, yours is Thursday, but she's not a Scorpio.
No, I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay. But it's
Yeah, you're
after
good
the
company.
20th.
You're
Okay,
good. It's about my mom's Sagittarius as well.
okay, Ali, you're recognized.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I just, it's a pleasure to give you guys an update on the coalition. So I wanted to let you guys know kind of all the work that I've been putting into. First, we were actually awarded from DOE for the most infrastructure build in the Southeast United States. We were also awarded for Coalition Comeback this week when I was in Denver for the national training. I was elected to the Drive Electric Florida Board. I also received a recommendation from Mayor Kava to join the federal EV working group. And I've also, within the last 2 years, we were able to increase membership by 25%. And the most exciting thing that I'm reporting is DOE actually requested us to host a regional meeting next year. So I'll be planning that, and we'll have some people from DOE. I already asked Commissioner Burr to speak to the group. So, but those are just a few of the updates for this year for the coalition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you remember we had quite a bit of transition in this program. It was in a very hurting place, and Alicia, in just a short amount of time, a year and a half, has now elevated it again to a national model program, because that's what our staff does.
Yeah.
Yay. All right, I'm going to try to run through this so that we can complete and we may be starting our
Yeah.
time certain hearings 2 or 3 minutes late. Sam,
Yes, sir.
legal report.
Just the update on the Dawson matter, which to the extent possible, the report that's in the backup does disclose where we are. We do intend to file a motion for summary judgment should the motion for dismissal not be granted. And last but not least, with regard to the Parkland from DRI, it is the last DRI, like the last DJ, it's the last.
Last one,
DRI.
we're gonna get t-shirts.
Yes, yes. There's been no others. It happens to be one that was grandfathered in, and I must give great kudos to Christina, to Bob Camrick, and of course to Isabel. During the course of the day that we spent just going through questions and issues, to refine it for your ultimate review. It's been a great task, but hopefully the good product will come out of the staff to you for your review eventually.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
I will ask council member reports if it's okay to leave these till the end of the meeting. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Ex officio report. Wynn, do you have any report?
I see him. He's not online.
Okay, Jason Andreata.
John Moore's on.
Okay, do you have any reports, sir? I'll take that as a no. Lorraine Mayers from South Florida Water Management District, do you have a report?
I just want to say that our governing board meeting for the month of February will be held here in Broward County.
Oh, nice.
I don't have a location, but just if you want to schedule your calendars, it's scheduled for February the 9th, which is a Thursday. Typically, we start at 9 a.m. Staff is in the process of finalizing a location, so I'll update you later, but just wanted to let the council know that we're gonna be here in Broward in February 2023.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Furr, you're recognized, sir.
Just real quick, the 16 County Coalition, that's part of the South Florida Water Management District, correct? Lorraine?
I'm sorry, could you repeat? You said the 16 County Coalition meeting?
Yeah, did that just met, right?
I think they did. I don't have the details yet. I'll let you know.
But is there a Broward County representative on that?
No,
Is there anybody from the from the regional planning county? Is there anybody representing there for us?
not to my knowledge.
I didn't think so. That's what
You want to go?
well, maybe, but somebody needs. To, is what my point.
Okay,
We'll look at it.
Isabel, let's discuss that later. All right, and the last item before we get to our presentations, time certain, is I want to give a very quick update on the SEDS. Thank God it's done. The amount of hours that went in on that were just amazing. If you look at this, it's not quite done. I mean, we're going through, there's a couple of typos because we were
Can I get an autograph copy?
rushed to get it in, yes. It is an amazing document. Geralda, Isabel, y'all did it. The staff, everybody did a great job on this. It is really an amazing document. We had a press conference on this a week ago today. We have the president of NOVA, the president of Broward College, the president of College of the Florida Keys, the executive director of the.
We drove up to it.
Yes.
You tried to get me to come.
Okay, right, the executive director of the South Florida Hospital Association, South Florida Hospital Association.
Randall was that one, yes.
All right, who else was, we had seven,
John.
John Wedenstein from the Levan Center. We have the president of BBX Capital, and I'm trying to remember, but it was a
Shannon from OIC.
Newton Sannon from OIC, and everybody there just was raving about it. And which is going to, I will make reference to that further when I get into our future planning commissioner for.
It is very well done. You guys did a fantastic.
Thank
job.
you.
But I do, and I guess I'm recommending that we find ways to distribute this to, I would try to do it to, you know.
Every elected official.
Every elected official.
Yes.
And that means quite a printing.
I don't know that we can print that.
Because it's color, it's, we'll just be emailing it
I
and
don't
have.
know what it would cost. I mean, we have our own printing at the county.
It's about 130 pages.
I know.
130 pages color, if you just assume 50 cents a page, 40 cents a page for color.
We email it, let me see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right.
I hear what you're saying. We should explore, see what the options.
We
are.
need to be, we've already given copy to the League of Cities. And I think we emailed it fairly broadly, but you're right, we need to be doing more on that, and I will get to that when in the future.
It's one of those
planning.
things where I realize there's a cost to it,
Right,
and I don't want to be penny foolish.
Right. I think we'll get
It's kind of
it.
like you,
We'll get it quote.
you put that much work into it. You actually want people to read it.
yeah,
And so
it's like bathroom reading.
yeah, but,
We'll look into it, council member. We'll get a quote and see, and we come back some more.
and the, I mean, the county has a whole printing
Yes,
established.
we'll see, we'll check on that as well. Yes,
Chair Geller, my comment would be, is there
Commissioner
any way that you all can do presentations at county commission meetings on this?
absolutely. Again, at the press conference, we, one of the things, you may not be interested, but there was a 20-minute or so summary of this, and it is online. I mean, it was videotaped on, what is it that we have at the county?
It's Vimeo?
Vimeo. Yeah, so there is a link to Vimeo. But I mean, I'm sure if the Monroe County Commission would like us to come down to make a presentation, we'll be happy to do so, or a date. But again, there is a Vimeo presentation, which was really, the short answer is it's impossible to do a comprehensive presentation. All we were able to do was, some of the highlights, because it's 130 pages of dense material, but we were able to do roughly 20 minutes on certain selected highlights.
Just calling attention to what's in it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that so people can go on their own. That's really what needs to be done. You're not gonna be able to go over it.
Yeah.
At least say, when the time comes and you need to know where to go for information. here's where you go.
Well, I've been planning on sending a letter to all of the committee members, thanking them for all of the time. We will also do a letter to all of the city commissioners and county commissioners in the Tri-County region. Tri-County being not the normal, what we think of, but Broward, Dade, Miami, Tri-County. All right, we need to begin our presentations. So, and I apologize, it's 7 minutes late. First one is a presentation to Mayor Anna Ziotti. Mayor Ziotti, I don't know what the voters in North Lauderdale were thinking, and I don't know your opponent. I have no opinion on them.
Look at Sam.
What? What? Okay. Okay.
There's a Ziotti online.
Yeah. Again, I say I don't know your opponent, but I know you, and you have been really an outstanding elected official. You've been a great and valued member of the South Florida Regional Planning Council. You're somebody I personally worked with on many issues. I consider you to be a friend. I had called you to see if you were interested in any county board, but you're already serving on the county board. You could only serve on one. I truly hope that we will see you again in public service and that we have not seen the last of you. Broward County needs you to stay active in government. You really have just done an outstanding job. We have two little things for you. One is a plan. Don't ask me to identify what kind of plant that is. Yeah, that's what it is. And we have a blank because it's not ready. Right. So we're actually not giving it to you now, but this is what it will look like, and it will be engraved. And it will say, the honorable, are we gonna be able to fit all of this? Okay, the Honorable Anna M. Ziotti, SFRPC Council Member 2020 through 2022, FRCA Policy Board Member 2022, with the council's gratitude and sincere appreciation for your public service, dedication, and many contributions to regional collaboration and the South Florida Regional Planning Council. Chairman Steve Keller, November 21, 2022. And Anna, again, like I said, I hope this is not the last we're seeing of you. My hands are clearly visible.
Council member will also be making a $100 contribution to the Humane Society of Broward County in your honor.
And did you have any comments, ma'am?
Oh, my gosh, I'm gonna get,
She sounds teary-eyed.
today is actually the official, tonight is the swearing in. So this is my last morning as mayor. I've enjoyed every meeting, every person that I've met. Staff, you're always incredible. I can't acknowledge you guys enough because you're an amazing support to this organization. And Kathy and Isabella, you two are just the superheroes of this organization, making sure that we're always on track and always where we need to be. And my fellow board members, thank you for all you do. I know you know as well as I know how difficult it is to have your normal jobs and then to add on to it, non-paid. Mind you, you know, and taking away time from your everyday life. And so I commend you all and some that have been, it seems on here like forever and then some. Chair Geller, you're just incredible. I thank you for your friendship. I've learned a lot from you, especially how to keep a meeting on. And Sam, as always, you are just a gem to us all. No matter what organization you sit on, you just are. And so I don't know what else to say, but thank you for all that you've given to me, brought into my life and made me aware of that I otherwise wouldn't have, that I have made others aware as well. So
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner Kerr.
Yeah, I just want to say you've been a fantastic advocate for not only your city, but for small cities in general, not only here, but on the MPO. And you're always here, you're always just a great help at all. So just thank you. And I think what Stephen said about, we want to see you stay involved in Broward because we need people like you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I understand there may be an opening on a city council there. Let's see. Oh, boy. The next item on the agenda is a presentation from the office of CFO Jimmy Petronis. I'd like to introduce Lachlan Luck. He was a U.S. Marine veteran. By the way, my late father-in-law was a 23-year Marine Master Sergeant, so I figured he knew like 6 ways of killing me quickly and silently and more from a distance. And he was a sharpshooter. He's a UCF alum. Professional career includes hospitality operations, political grassroots campaign, and since January of this year, he has served as the Southeast Florida Regional Manager, representing Florida CFO and State Fire Marshal Jimmy Petronis and Florida Department of Financial Services from Broward up through Indian River counties. And again, Mr. Petronis, as I knew Jimmy when he was in the State House and I was in the Senate a long time ago. He's been CFO, has done a very good job. And at this point in time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Luck for about 5 minutes of comments. There is a presentation from Mr. Luck in your backup material. You recognize Mr. Luck.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, members of the board. And I just want to say, for those who are probably not familiar with me, people just call me Luck. And I tell people that if you know where to, if you're looking for Luck, you know where to find me. You know, real quick, I just want to, you know, since I have 5 minutes, I imagine most of you, everybody here is familiar with the CFO, just to kind of briefly break down who he is and what he does for the state. As the Senator mentioned, he's obviously the CFO that oversees the banking institution, the finances, and make sure everything's up to par. He's also the fire marshal, which is a different capacity or role. So just stemming back from, you know, actually, it will say Hurricane Ian and just recently Hurricane Nicole. Whenever there's a catastrophe or anything like happened last year, unfortunately, with the building collapse in Surfside, there are firefighters or task force throughout the state that he accompanies and, you know, assures that we have everything that the firefighters needs in order to, you know, be up to par to help us in needs. And so, you know, hurricane season is something that we were lucky in the past 2 years, but this year just we were unfortunate. I would say that Broward County, we've been lucky. So it kind of just missed us, but in the event and when hurricane does happen, you know, that's something that we have to be mindful of, you know, make sure our houses are hardened, make sure we have our insurance in in order, and that's a, I apologize, that's something that is the special session is going to address. If you are not familiar, but the governor had already announced that there will be a special session before the end of the year. So I don't know if I have control of the screen. I just want to share my,
I can let you share your screen, just bear with me just a moment,
okay,
and then now you should be able to.
okay.
Doesn't matter who technically has control, I could never do it anyhow.
So just briefly, I can already mention some of the details of the presentation, but the CFO, as the senator mentioned, he served in the Florida House, as well as he was appointed on the Constitution Revision Commission, and he's a very personable elected official, and he cares about a lot of these issues that we're going through. And as I mentioned, insurance is something that's impacts us all, and he advocates for those issues. And so we do have several divisions or offices within our department. So not to bore you or to kind of overwhelm you with all the details, but there's a list of all our divisions. So right now, unfortunately, we have a lot of insurance companies that are leaving the state. As many of you probably know, because of litigations, issues, contractors, bad actors that's going out there causing a havoc, because we just had Hurricane Ian and we had Hurricane Nicole. Not all roofers or not all contractors are bad. It's just that when we have some of the highest, well, we are the I believe #1 state with the highest number of litigation in terms of insurance fraud. And so that is not a really good market, and it's a hard market currently right now. But hopefully we can, with this special session coming up, address some of those issues or concerns. And granted, I know we have session that's coming up, or regular session that's coming up next year. And hopefully we can have more of a comprehensive plan to address that. But the website, for those who probably are not familiar, myfloridacfo.com has plenty of information with regarding our different departments and services that we provide. So, and there's our social media if you want to follow. But that's basically what I had to do or that's what I wanted to share with you. But I also want to say that I actually was deployed over to Fort Myers. I did participate in the Insurance Village. That's what we call when we bring all the different state and federal agencies and local agencies to come together, in a disaster area. That's something where I don't know what role this council plays on, or I know some of you are elected officials are either city or county elected officials.
Well, the jurisdiction of this board is Monroe-Dade and Broward counties.
Okay, so I just mentioned that because in the event if there were to be, knock on wood, a hurricane, hopefully we don't get one, but knock on wood, the coordination between the different counties is going to be crucial and vital as people would need those services. But again, that's something that I'll definitely love to, go to each of your city commission meetings. I haven't been able to go to everybody's commission meeting, but I have been to some here in Broward County, also, further up, but particularly in Broward County, I will be stopping by just to, make a more personable introduction and discuss some of the things that where our department can assist the constituents in your division or in your particular districts.
Let me say a couple of things. First of all, I can tell you that Luck has been extremely accessible, has done more outreach candidly than I have seen from any other cabinet member's office in, I don't know how many years, certainly since the 6 years I've been on the county commission. We've never had any of the cabinet members that have done the kind of outreach that Luck has been doing. Secondly, and Luck, this is to you, the SFRPC has put together actually an insurance document that, the one that Isabel, you looked, was the one that we shared with the local cities. Okay, we will,
The flyers.
the flyers, so can you make sure that
Yes.
we send Luck a copy of that? We have made these available.
They're on
to-
our website.
it's on our website, but we've also made copies available to the cities so that they can share them with their constituents, et cetera. So you may want to take a look at that and see if that's something that either you think needs any revisions, or it's a 2-3 page document that, you may want to feel free to plagiarize. Anything from, research, not plagiarize. And before we go, one other on insurance thing is, as you mentioned about Broward being lucky. I keep telling people this, everybody talks, Florida does get hit by hurricanes a lot. It does, but that's because we have so much coastline. No county in Broward, in Florida, I'm sorry, no county in Florida gets hit that much. I mean, Broward, the last I recall was Wilma, which was, I want to say 2005. And then before that, you go back another 10 or 15 years. And before that was Betsy in 64. So, I mean, Florida does get hit, but I think Broward has been hit 3 times. It's in, 64, sometime in the 80s and 2005. So roughly once every 20 years. So yes, we are a hurricane prone state, but no individual county is that badly hurricane prone. Did anybody have any questions for Luck before we move on?
I do have.
Yes,
council
Isabel.
members. Yes, so thank you so much for being here. I have a question. I haven't heard anything recently about the state grant program that could provide homeowners up to $10,000 matching.
Right.
For hardening. I know the CFO is developing the program, but I haven't heard anything about that of late.
If I can, let me, so if you were to go to our website, myfloridacfo.com, let me see if I can.
Is the program up and running?
It's up and running. Now the kind of clarify that, like you said, it's matching. So up to 5,000. So the person would obviously fund 5,000, and then the state would fund the other 5,000 for up to. Obviously, that covers that 10,000 cost. But as far as the program, people being able to sign up for it, it is up and running.
Because it took a while to get off the ground, so I'm hoping, could you send me please a link and I'll share that with the
Yes.
board members?
All right,
Because
and your name, I'm sorry,
I don't think you can see who.
yeah,
Isabel.
kind of small. Who's
That's
speaking?
all right. And Isabel Cosio Carballo.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we were big. Sorry, I just.
Should've
I'm
said
sorry,
that.
kind of small on the screen, so I see. All right.
So if you could send us a link to the program, I know it was historically called the My Safe Florida Home. I don't know if it is still, but according to an article this year, there was funding put in by the legislature to create this matching grant program for
Correct, and that
residents
was
who want to harden their home. So
right. That was after the special session that happened before summer.
right, so that would be helpful because I know a lot of people would be interested in that, particularly.
See it all over TikTok.
And as soon as I apply, I'll share the link with everybody else.
Later.
Only if your phone's updated.
On that note, one of the things that I've been doing, we do have materials, and also I can get more to provide in your offices. So like the city halls or wherever that we can share that information. I'll stop by to bring those to you. Because again, it's very important. This is a kind of short story, and not to blame this particular city, but in Wilton, I was speaking to a consumer. Somehow she had an issue. Not to say that it was coming from the city, the mayor's office in Wilton, but we wanted to. I stopped by, making sure that they have all the information from our office or anything regarding insurance, because somehow, in her particular case, she reached out to the mayor's office, and she was given some resources as far as, hey, somebody's going to reach out to you. And again, whoever this person was came out, and it was just kind of an unfortunate situation because she was kind of caught up between the contractor and the insurance company. And we just want to make sure people are best informed and that they're not taken advantage of.
Yes.
Okay, we do need to move on, Luck,
Sorry,
two
yes.
last things. Number one, again, congratulations. I think you do an outstanding job for CFO Petronas. As I said, I've never seen a cabinet member do the outreach you have. And secondly, please, next time you see him or speak with him, please give Jimmy my personal regards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now. Planning, which is the remainder of the meeting and the subject matter of today's. Let me go over a couple of things or start with this. First, all of you have heard me say this, but I'll repeat it. For much of my first years on the SFRPC, since the legislature did away with the bulk of our actual land use and intergovernmental responsibilities, it seemed like the SFRPC was meeting just because we're required by statute, and we would have speakers in at our meetings, and that was about all we did. I'm too busy, and I know all of you are too busy, and for Councilwoman Lincoln to keep driving up here from Monroe County, she's too busy for us to come and attend meetings that we're not doing anything at. I think that you've seen a big change, and we need to continue this and strengthen this. This year, we have done the SEDS, and it's been a terrific work product. We're not done with that. On the SEDS, first of all, we need to finish publicizing it and thanking our members. Secondly, we do have annual updates, which we have not, that in the past, we've done those just by staff. We may want to reconvene, but I've discussed, I have been in government, I've served for 5 decades. Not really, not that old, but I served in the 80s, in elective office in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s. So that's 5 decades. I have never been on a committee that was as blue ribbon as this blue ribbon SEDS committee. And I've spoken with them and said, look, since we've got the gang together, we should continue to meet, once or twice a year and try and address issues. One of the questions I'm going to be raising today is what issues you think would be appropriate for the SEDS to go over. I'll get to that in a moment. Second thing is we've been having more joint meetings with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council because the 7 counties together really it makes up about 1/3 of the population of the state of Florida. And there again, George Hanbury, the president of NOVA, could not stop talking about how influential, the fact that we were truly doing regional issues. Again, we can do those without Treasure Coast, but it depends. I mean, typically you would think Monroe, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. Palm Beach is Treasure Coast, so we have to do a lot of things with Treasure Coast. But even without, the solid waste was just a perfect example of what we're doing on that. So we've been having joint meetings, and that's going to go back into the calendar, which you recall I had postponed until this. Additionally, we had a mayor's conference call dealing with the issue of affordable housing, where we had the mayor of Dade, Broward. I don't know if Monroe was on. I don't think the mayor of Monroe was on. For the,
No, we didn't, because I spoke. I
yeah, because right,
consulted
it's there, the
with
issues in
Councilmember-
Dade are just
They were
different
different.
from Dade, but Broward and Palm
With
Beach.
Councilmember
Right.
Lincoln's advice. We said, well, Monroe's issues are a little different, so for this conversation, we're gonna focus on Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach.
Right. And we had an excellent meeting, but we need to follow up on that. We also need to follow up on the regional meeting that we had dealing with solid waste. We've had a lot of discussion for the follow-up on that. We have scheduled in March. First and last month is where? First month, there it is, March we will be having not a joint, but an SFRPC meeting. Not a meeting, a conference similar to what we had up in Boca, except this will just be SFRPC, but I expect it will be an all-day conference dealing with the issue of first and last mile connectivity. We are looking at, again, I'm on the calendar for a moment, which we'll get to in a moment formally, but we're looking at having another in October joint SFRPC, TCRPC full conference. And that's another issue that I wanted to discuss today. What is an appropriate topic for that? Okay. Next, we are planning on having just a joint meeting with the SFRPC and the Treasure Coast RPC. And we're looking at that in February. And we have not decided, and I'd like some input on that will just be not outside speakers. That'll be, well, maybe a couple, but it'll be just, like our normal joint meetings. It'll be probably a 3-hour meeting, not an all-day meeting. It'll be probably 3 hours. And again, it could just be catch up because this is also right before the legislative session. We normally try and do this to come up with the legislative agenda from the joint committees, but we may want to try and also, if we're all together, do a half an hour or an hour on one topic. So that's another potential issue. Let me revert now to the calendar. We're looking at, I hope everybody's calendar in front of us. We're looking at having a regular meeting in January here, which would include our annual election of officers. February would be a joint SFRPC, TCRPC meeting. We have not yet determined what location that would be. We may or may not need a additional meeting of the SFRPC. If so, that would be on February 27th. And that would be in case we have business that we need to ratify. As you know, sometimes we get reports that we need to act on within, is it 20 or 30 days? That we have 30 days. So we may need a October meeting, but we haven't called that one yet. March, we will do first and last mile connectivity. That will be at the FDOT office, which is in Miami. We're hoping. Then April, we want to go down to Monroe County.
A regular meeting,
yeah.
you can help with a topic.
Right.
Absolutely.
And we have tentatively scheduled that again, same place we met last time at the Nelson Government Center. But, Commissioner Lincoln, if there is another location that you think would be better, we kind of would like it to be kind of in North Monroe. But if there's it's tentatively scheduled there. If there's another one you think better, please let us know. Then that'd be April, May, back to here, June, back to Miami-Dade, probably at their government chambers. July here, no meeting in August. September would be SFRPC here. October if needed, because we may or may not have one depending whether we need to. But if not, that would be on Monday, the 16th. On Friday, the 20th will be the joint conference. And then November here, and then nothing in December. So that is our proposed calendar. Now, there's a couple questions that I have. Again, I think that we've really started to show what we're doing, which is regional planning. So we have several items I would like to discuss. And then we're also going to go, we have Leo has prepared also a long range planning, which is, I think, is that this one? Yeah, which is, we'll get to after we do this one. So first, I'd like to discuss, and I'm gonna list them in advance because there's a bunch of topics that we can go over. Number one is issue for the SEDS. Number two is issues for the joint SFRP issue singular, issue for the joint SFRPC, TCRPC conference in October.
Meeting and it says, but I don't get confused.
No, conference in October, that's the joint conference.
Yes, right.
Three, which would be a lesser one, would be the topic for the February SFRPC, TCRPC joint council meeting, but that one again, I expect half an hour, it'll probably only be a 3-hour meeting. Half an hour will be talking, half an hour will be on legislative. So maybe we've got an hour for a broad overview on one topic, which will be different from either of the two conferences. And again, the SEDS, let me give you an example of one of the topics that I was thinking about, because remember, the SEDS is the big business community leaders. And again, obviously, I'm going to need to ask them for their input on what topic. One item that I had considered, because I think the SEDS is something that should be something that we want the community to deal with, which is not just the local things that local government can deal with. I wanted to bring up the issue of, I guess, the silver tsunami. An issue that has long concerned me is I don't see how seniors in 20 years will be able to ever retire. You have the famous three-legged stool of retirement. One is Social Security, one is pension, one is retirement savings. Well, in terms of pension, most private sectors no longer have pensions. And I've had a lot of people come up to me upset and say, it's not fair that government workers are the only ones that have pensions left. And I agree with them, but I think their solution is backwards. I don't think the solution is taking it away from government employees. I think that we really need to focus on getting more private sector pensions back, because everybody thinks that 401ks or IRAs are the alternative to pensions. They were never meant that way. They were meant to supplement the second leg, which is private savings. Second topic is Social Security. Well, first of all, hopefully it's solvent. I mean, I'm sure it'll still be there at 80% at least, but you know, that's not really enough. It's never supposed to be enough. But additionally, as so many people are happy with the oh, I've got a gig job and it's paying me in cash, and they're not taking out my Social Security, I get more money. Well, that's great, except they don't realize their Social Security is based on the amount that they're paying in. So if they're not paying in or paying in at minimal sums, that's what they'll be getting. And savings, I've seen, you know, the median amount when somebody is hit 60 is between 100 and 150,000. if you assume the 4% rule, great, you'll be able to get 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 a year out of your savings. This is one idea that because it's got so many private sector leaders. Are there other topics on that? Are there other topics? Or do you have suggestions for the joint SFRPC, TCRPC topics? Remembering we have to share with them and get their opinion. And for the joint 1 hour meeting, that's like just an overview hour. Commissioner Fur, you're recognized, sir.
You want to,
You can comment on any of the three.
um,
Because what you suggested one, we may be
yeah,
able
some
to
of
thought
that
it
is kind
another.
of overlap all over.
Yes.
The issue of freight and going through the middle of the state instead of going up the FEC has all kind of ramifications for all the planning council. And I don't know if we would be in the middle of that or not. And I mean, I think you know that the ports are already discussing it.
Yes. I believe you're referring to the famous inland port somewhere near the lake. Is that what you're?
Yes.
And
Right.
Miami-Dade County already has plans to move.
Correct. Right,
That's 27.
right. They already have, but Broward probably has tentatively started looking at it. Palm Beach would be looking at it because it had some big ramifications, not only on traffic, but on economics.
What freight line is that? Or they're not talking about laying new set of rails, are they?
No, there's the rails already there.
Which rail line is that is what I'm asking.
I don't know who owns it.
If it's not FEC, I'm only aware of 2 sets of rail lines. You've got,
It goes right up 27. Follows 27 all the way.
Yeah, we've been in there. Yeah.
is there a rail line that
Yeah.
by 27?
Chrissy Adina.
She's all the way. And that's,
Just Google.
Yeah, please Google one. Okay,
and I'm just interested in the discussion. Only because that's, it has lots of possibilities in terms of economics and traffic and everything. Whether, for the port of Miami, it's a lot of sense. Broward is not so good,
right.
but it may not be something we have to look at. For Monroe, it's probably be fun. But that's a big regional.
It's a regional freight corridor.
Yeah,
Right.
and one that at some point we should be involved in.
We should, and one of the questions is if Dade wants it and Broward doesn't, and we don't approve,
I wasn't hearing Jonathan say no. So what?
I don't,
I've talked.
no, I'm just saying, one of the issues, I've discussed this briefly with him also, but one of the issues is I have discovered that Miami-Dade frequently doesn't consult with Broward when they are making regional decisions.
Well, because for them, it makes sense, actually, the US 27, they've already,
Right.
that's already one of their big applications they've turned into the feds to get funding to do that, to connect to 27 and go up.
Okay,
So the question is, should we be?
right, I understand that. Do you have any other suggestions?
We'll look into that one.
I don't know if this is a place, well, maybe it might be, trying to decide the traffic, where the connections should be. So I think we know the coastal link. The other alternatives that such as whether or not 27 goes up to University, goes up to Palm Beach, those kind of things. And that's gonna be, that discussion you're talking about with first and last,
Right.
that's kind of goes with all that.
It may, the first and last, I think, is more of, once you get to, let's say that where the Bright Line stops.
Yeah.
The transit hub that may or may not by the possible or not possible government center, depending on whether or not there's a way of getting over, around, or through the tunnel, but under, around, or through the New River. The whole question is, once you get to there, how do you get to the offices? Or how do you get, if from the residential communities or park and rides, how do you get, to the train to go to the downtowns?
And
Yeah.
one of those things, I know that the NPO has been working on for 10 years.
Yep.
Has been that not clean streets,
Complete.
complete street, complete clean street. And that, and you know, I was looking at it kind of like, why are we doing this? All these isolated little projects. I know you're concerned with lane grabbing, however,
Yes,
and I finally heard an argument for it the other day, which I had not heard. And part of it was like, this is actually a prerequisite to some of the first and last mile. Because what it's actually doing is creating bike lanes and everything to light rail and those kind of things. So suddenly it makes, I know this came up at the commission meeting the other day. I didn't.
at the Broward
He's not a
County.
big bicycle fan, but I want you to think that this is one of those places where it actually does make sense for that first and last. How do you get to the train station? How do you get to that light rail? And if those complete streets are part of that, then it does make sense.
If it's within a mile or two of a train station, I have no problem. I have said, and this came up at the last Broward County Commission meeting, I've been fairly consistent for the last 6 years. I am not voting to close lanes of traffic to put in bikes because I do not believe in South Florida. Bikes are an effective means of transit. They are great for exercise. I see them, the roads filled on weekends with people in Lycra while I'm driving to work with spandex or whatever. I never see people driving.
Steve, think
Yes.
about it. Think if you're only going a half a mile, not time to even build up sweat.
That's great.
And that's where if you are,
No problem with those.
well, those are the ones where you may want to just think about that.
No problem. All right, what other topics does anybody, is there anybody, Mayor Ross, Mayor Kaplan, Mayor Kaufman, Carrie? Do we have any other committee members?
I can keep going.
Fred. Okay, Commissioner Cage Craig. Anybody else? Topics? Mayor Ross, I see you're ready to speak.
No, I hate to sound like Nan Rich, but you can always go with affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's affordable housing.
And Senator,
Yes, sir. Mayor Kaplan.
I'm really significantly interested in the transportation conversation. But I would also offer the thought that a lot of us are contending with stormwater management and engineering solutions and long-term budgeting and predictions on sea level rise. These are rather complicated questions. The more I think we think alike and utilize the same baseline information, the better our planning is going to be. But these all require judgments.
All right, I have added to the list affordable housing, which again, we are to a degree dealing with through the mayor's conference, but that might also be a good issue to deal with. And I've also added sea level rise / water. I have, anybody who's been here has heard me give my speech. Greg, you've heard me give it a lot at a lot of locations. I do not give investment advice, but I do on one item. In South Florida, I strongly recommend that you invest in companies that build arcs or houseboats, because we will be underwater because 10 years we will be unable to drain. We live in a rainforest, and that is the tech I saw on the map in the SEDS. This area of South Florida is described as rainforest, and it rains a lot. And somewhere 8 to 12 years, the canals will be full. We will be unable to drain to the ocean because it's gravity fed. This can be fixed, but in order to fix it, you have to raise the banks of the canals and put in pumps. And the Army Corps has said, if everything goes well and they don't run into any problems and they get full funding, they hope that they can get it done in 15 years, which means at best 20 to 25. We'll be underwater in 10, which is why I urge people to invest in houseboats and arcs. Besides sea level rise, affordable housing, and transit, freight lines specifically, but possibly also locations. Anything else?
You know,
Anything else?
We
Yes.
discussed the last time we were together, or at least that I was there in person, the non-jurisdictional role relative to the urban development boundary. Do we want to discuss policy? Whether that's a poor idea, the world's worst idea?
I
whether
think
the
it may
economic-
qualify as one of the world's worst ideas because, nothing personal, because I don't like what Dade is doing in the constant encroachment. But if we tell the Dade County Commission that Broward and Monroe don't like what they're doing, I kind of think we're just setting ourselves up for a major internal battle that I would prefer not to have. So if did you have an additional comment on that? And Councilwoman?
I take the point. I think it's a practical and diplomatic problem. And you know, my impression is that Miami-Dade is not done with this issue fully and finally. But
They're not.
it is where it is right now.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lincoln.
Thank you, Chair Geller. Another topic that I think might be interesting kind of goes along with a comprehensive economic development plan, but it also involves Career Source. Because right now Career Source is getting a new look. And as that rolls out, I think a topic that's always important to me in Monroe County is apprenticeship programs. What are we doing educationally to help our community come up with other careers other than just tourist driven? And I think when we had COVID hit, it opened the eyes of a lot of people. There's a lot of businesses that can happen wherever you live. And so I don't know if that's if this would be a topic that anyone else is interested in, but I just think anything we can do to help with careers and our economic development would be spot on for.
Councilwoman, I've taken the lead on that in Broward and would love to have something like that. We've, you know, it's last week I spoke at the JA and Broward had the first graduating class in apprenticeships. And, you know, theirs was specific. The first class was in the marine area, marine technicians, marine carpenters, et cetera, engineers, but that they're spreading out into others of the trades, and I'll add that to the list. Are there any other topics? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. So, one of the topics that I've been starting to think about more is the fact that, you know, through the HUD grant that we had, we did the 750 Regional Visioning Project for 50 years.
Right.
And that was from 2010 to 2014. Before Carolyn passed away, she had thought that a lot of what would come out of that plan would actually have a foundation for an updated strategic regional policy plan, which has not been updated.
My
since
understanding is that is a
2004.
joint SFRPC, TCRPC.
So the 7 counties were the 750. So it was very controversial in Treasure Coast. But I do think it's worth staff giving some thought and coming back with a recommendation that we take a look at, okay, this is what we said in 750. In 2014, we had this very expensive plan with $2 million of in-kind contribution from here, from DOT and others. So what do we say? And let's look at where we are and where do we need to make some improvement? Because one, I think it would be good to see. And second, I also don't want it to be said that we used all these resources to create a regional plan that just went and sat on a shelf. That's like the death blow when you're trying to get people to cooperate and be part of something, right? So I just want to bring back a proposal.
Let me say about that I don't think that's appropriate for one of the conferences. I think it is very appropriate for us. This is almost a SEDS, like this would be a, not a conference. This is a long-range goal that we will have to devote substantial resources. But I think you're correct. You should come back to us with a recommendation, hopefully. Let's see, this is November, we're not meeting in December, hopefully in January, that we can talk about reconvening a new 750 group, which would be a lot of work, but which I think, you know, you're right, is a
At least for
important.
our region, because again,
Yeah.
people were, the agencies, everybody stepped up, Broward County, Miami-Dade, DOT. We had a list of partners, public, private, nonprofit, a mile long. And again, I think that not having something to present back, an update, would not look good on
Right,
us.
it may be appropriate instead of the 7 counties
Might
to
be
do,
honest, yeah.
well, I would say
Palm Beach.
Monroe, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. But, you know,
Is Palm Beach
give us a
okay?
give us a recommendation.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to close on this, but what I'm going to ask everybody who's listening to do, including those of you that are not SFRPC members, to try and get us by the end of the week additional, if there are any additional topics that you'd like us to take up, please let us know. And at this point in time, I would ask for a motion to adopt the meeting calendar that I've explained that's in front of you. Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilwoman Lincoln moves adoption, Councilwoman Ziotti seconds. Is there any debate, any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Show that adopted unanimously. Now, what we have now gone over are some of the topics that we're planning on doing specifically in the next year. We also have a longer range planning in front of us. And let me call on Leo to discuss and we have 17 minutes left.
Mr. Chair, before Leo begins, just for reference, the speaker who would have otherwise spoken this morning on the public comment apparently has dialed in to the extent that the
Oh,
law
Mr. Martin's here?
would permit that opportunity as a matter of law, would suggest that prior to the end of the meeting.
It's him.
Where's Mr. Martin?
It's him.
There's a 561 number on there, but it does not match the email that we received, so. we're
Okay,
not
hold
sure
on.
what That is.
What's his name? Drew
Mr.
Martin?
Martin.
Drew Martin, are you on the line? Drew Martin, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right, we did have public comment earlier and you weren't here. However, in the interest of trying to accommodate you, we will recognize you now, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. When I looked at your agenda, I thought the public comment came at the end of the meeting. So that's why I didn't get on right away.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
But I want to thank you for allowing the public to speak. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. We can hear you fine, sir.
I have a couple of comments. One is, of course, I'm very disappointed that Miami-Dade County continues to move outside of the UDB for development. There's a lot of opportunities inside the UDB. I realize that you don't want to get into a fight with them, but I think it's really important to stress that with the environment the way it is, that we should really be trying to protect the Everglades ecosystem and maintain the urban development boundaries and keep development in infill areas and not moving it out into open areas. I did want to comment on a couple of things that Mayor Geller had said. One, you said that you thought that the canal system could be fixed by the Army Corps of Engineers with pumps. I think that is being somewhat unrealistic and overly optimistic. I think that you will see that this does become a problem and these canals begin to fail, that the structural changes will not be enough to compensate during storms, maybe during summer rain events, and that planning needs to begin to move homes away from the most areas that would be most impacted, or to have homeowners do work inside their properties to help alleviate the risks of flooding. I don't think that we can depend on the Army Corps of Engineers. We need to learn from New Orleans that depending on the Army Corps of Engineers could prove fatal. On the homeowners insurance, I have to politely disagree that Mr. Petronas has done a good job. I don't think he has. But a lot of the problems in Florida have to do with, yes, I agree. And I think it is important to be polite and diplomatic. But the reality is that if you're going to continue to allow people to rebuild homes in places where the homes should have never been built, or the condominiums in the first place, and I do think we're seeing this along the coast at Volusia County when we saw the ocean going underneath these buildings, that if those buildings come down, they should not be rebuilt in those locations, that they need to be abandoned. And we need to allow the dunes to exist. Seawalls destroy the dunes. So I think that's very important. I don't have a clock. Do I have more time?
4 seconds.
4,
3, 2,
3,
1.
2,
Okay.
1.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for your remarks, sir.
Thank you for accommodating me.
I will only comment to closing. We actually don't have jurisdiction over most of the issues that you raised, but I think that this board philosophically agrees with many of the things that you said. Thank you for your remarks, sir. Now, Leo. Again, Leo will map out a long-term process, and you now have 12 minutes instead of 16. Sorry.
That's right. It's nimble. Goes fast.
All right, so good morning again. You may remember me from other shows like the financial report.
Don't mess with the number man. That's right. I like that. I'm gonna get a shirt.
So, well, thank you, Alicia, for the first report. I think with the presentation. So, in several meetings that we've had with Isabel and with Manny, I want to recognize that Manny Sela, many of you know him. He worked here for 42 years. He's been a great mentor to us, all the new staff. Well, we realized that we're putting all our efforts into planning for the region, but we also need to have some insights and plan within, so that we can reinforce our foundation and keep helping the region. So if we go to the first slide, and we see we'll have a welcome and introduction. I'll tell you that every image here is not been deliberate. We have thought about them. We are at crossroads nowadays. We see that the environment is not healthy for any organization, or has not been healthy, and we're getting out of or as I've heard, we've gotten out of a pandemic. So we have a reason to be here talking about this now. This is the outline. Basically, we'll go over it pretty quickly, but we have a welcome and introduction. Where are we here? What is the strategic plan? Plenty of you know, but for those of you that don't know, we'll kindly explain it. We'll go through the process, the previous efforts that the strategic plan, the South Florida Regional Planning Council has gone through. The next steps in this strategic plan and the global timeline. So let's go on to the next one. Well, so why are we here? Based on data, South Florida has emerged from the pandemic and is now potentially heading into a recession. We're facing challenges in hiring and retaining staff at an organizational level. We've seen, and we will see chief staff retirements. And all of this is also backed up by the workforce, and which we all know it's not the same as what it used to be. The great resignation that we've seen, the great retirement that we've seen after the pandemic, And we've seen that the job market has been hit up and down, east and west. So, we think it's the right time for us to plan, within. To continue the council's work, we need a strategic plan moving forward. We can move on to the next slide. So what is strategic planning? Or what is a strategic plan? Strategic planning is an organization's process of defining its strategy or direction and making decisions on allocating its resources to attain strategic goals. That's an academic definition, but basically what we want to do is, when we're planning strategically, is look at the future, see what we have, and see how we better allocate all our resources. The strategic plan is the final report that you will see after we go throughout the whole process. Slide. So slides 5 through 11, I won't get you bored with them, but they're basically showing us the process. Of course, the first step would be to gather the facts. We'll have several meetings. We'll divide our stakeholders into 3 different groups, one being the board members, another being the staff members, and the third group would be friends of the council. We can even include other councils that contribute to our efforts. Let's go to the next slide.
Can you explain, I know what a SWOT analysis is, but can you explain what a SWOT analysis is?
So let's move on to the next.
I looked at it just.
So the SWOT analysis is when we analyze the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of our organization. I like to divide that into two different levels. One would be internal, the other one would be external. Strengths and weaknesses, we're looking within, whereas in opportunities and threats, we're looking outside the environment, right? So you'll see there the internal analysis, strengths and weaknesses, and external analysis, opportunities and threats. In the main document that we've started already, we have a good, let's say, summary of the job market and the international markets that we're facing after the pandemic. Then I would like to share with you that document. So number 3 would be the process. We review the inputs, and from all the stakeholders' answers, we review them, and there we generate the SWOT analysis. Go to number 4. That would be the definition of the critical areas. So from the SWOT analysis, we will see all the different issues that we're seeing. And we'll identify which of those are critical for our future path.
Thank you.
Number 5, well, we will define the strategies to tackle those issues. Those critical issues that we found, we'll see how do we put in our efforts in the best, most efficient way so that we can try to solve them. So we can try to turn those threats into opportunities and in the future, hopefully our strengths. Number 6 would be to review and adjust. You know, every time you have one of these long processes, you need always to look back and see if there's any missing pieces that you could, probably adjust or to get a better outcome. And of course, number 7 would be the implementation, but that's a different process that we'll talk about whenever we finish with this. Let's keep going. Well, the components of a strategic plan. The first component is the organizational overview. We will go through our mission statement. We'll see if we're still aligned, or we want for it to be to still be our mission statement. If we want to adjust it, if we want to, make some modifications, we will review our current programs to see if they are aligned with the regional needs, or if we need to bring anything else to the table. The second component would be internal environment, financials, human resources. What's our team? Of course, we'll have to go to our board and board engagement. Sometimes we don't, I'm not talking about this organization, don't take me the quote unquote, but sometimes in different organizations, you don't see the board engagement that you would need for the mission statement to be carried forward. So we'll have to review that too. The technical capabilities that we have. And well, then we'll go to the external environment. That's the economy, competition, legal and political environments. Then SWOT analysis and then the critical areas. Our previous efforts, well, I was not here yet, but in 2013, that's where Manny also came in and helped me put all this together. The decision was to, well, there was a strategic plan in 2013, and the decision was to develop new and reinforce ongoing initiatives consistent with strategic opportunity areas. It was also decided that the board would work to shape a new RPC mission and to play a role in new initiatives and focus areas reflective of that mission. Next slide. In 2017, there was another strategic plan, or well, it was a board strategic planning retreat, basically. And there it was decided to strengthen the council's extra jurisdictional mission as a platform for regional convenience, to focus on regional economic prosperity, including collaboration, research, and database roles in support of a stronger regional economy, to explore fee-for-service opportunities to assist local governments and other regional partners, and to enhance branding of the council and its work.
No time. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Our next steps in this current process would be, well, we've already split the stakeholders into three different groups, as I've told you. The staff members in one group, the board members in another group, and friends of the council in a third group. Of course, everyone is welcome to participate in this process. Stakeholders will be, well, you know, making good use of the new technologies brought to us by our friend, the pandemic. We will be able to send surveys, online surveys, so we don't need all people to come and convene with us, you know, like we used to before. We will be sending we will be sending surveys based on the group they belong to. Every survey will be tailored to, of course, their point of view or to their approach. The questions, of course, will differ, and the surveys will be short, 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay. And at this point in time, I'm cutting you off, so we have time for questions for you.
All right.
Okay. My big question, then I'll go on Commissioner Furr, is timing. What is the timing that you expect here? I will give my view is, since Isabel will unfortunately be leaving on October 31. And
Go ahead and make it.
when she gets on her broomstick and flies away, since it's Halloween. And presumably we will have a deputy director / heir apparent in prior to summer. Yeah, I would hope that we can have this done by April or May, so that there will be sufficient time for our outgoing and incoming executive directors to really work on this. So what is your sense of timing on this?
Honestly, we were shooting for February.
Oh, great.
To have
Okay.
a document, at least, you know, a first draft.
Right.
But that would be ideal for April to have a final document so we can present it to the board and guys can play with those levers then.
Thank you, Commissioner Furr, you're recognized, sir.
Obviously, I think there's a tremendous amount of overlap with the sets. And I think what we look at the sets document, we should look at it and look to see what questions it poses, what issues it poses, you know, those kind of things. We don't have to go gathering facts. You just gather. I mean, that is full of all that stuff. It's like, use that as a jumping off point and don't. We don't have to.
I think that the
And maybe
difference.
you already planned. Maybe.
No, actually, I think that the difference is that the SEDS, if we're trying to get the region as a whole,
Yeah.
that's the SEDS. But if we're looking at what should the SFRPC doing, this is, most of what we're doing is internal to the members and the staff and the users of the SFRPC to be looking at specifically what should the SFRPC be doing over the next 5 years, not what should the
No,
region be doing.
but I think they have to go hand. I think they have to go hand.
I think that what we're looking at doing, yeah, I agree, is on what procedures and policy should the SFRPC be doing to accomplish all of the goals of the SEDS. You're right, there's a lot of overlap, but I think if this one is just more on, you know, you've heard me for years saying we must be focusing more on a convening group, and I think we're doing that. But I think if this is more internal on how should we be doing what we're doing? Leo and then Commissioner Burr, Commissioner Burr, then Leo.
Yeah, no problem.
And I guess all I'm saying is let that inform us. Let the SEDS inform us
I think that's on the topics, not on how we get there, right?
and let that kind of drive some of the direction. You know, because it's going to tell us where the needs are.
Right,
Absolutely.
that's correct, that's correct.
Right.
Using that to inform us, let that drive a lot of the, when you're gathering the facts, the strengths and weaknesses, a lot of that's done.
Yeah, but again, that I'm intimately familiar with the SWOT analysis for the SEDS. That was strengths and weaknesses of the Tri-County region. This is strengths and weaknesses of the SFRPC. How do we get?
This one is more that organizational. It will deal with our needs as an agency and not as a region. Unfortunately, it goes hand in hand with the regional planning. And that's the idea, for us to adapt as an agency to serve the region in a better way.
However, you did raise an important point. What I'm going to also do, we have 4 items that we've looked at that we should be discussing. Bright lines through center of the state and where there should be stops on lines, affordable housing, sea level rise and water, apprenticeship and jobs. 3 of those 4 were in the SEDS report, and what I'm going to ask that staff do and that I'll do is we will go through the SEDS report to try and come up with other topics that the SFRPC should be focusing on. Because again, your remarks are spot on for the topics that we should be, not how internally we get there. Are there additional questions or comments? Are there additional questions or comments? If not, I don't think we need a motion to approve, but do we?
It would be useful only to create a permanent record that was your, that's your.
Okay,
intention.
so-
Bring out the calendar.
So again, I will ask for motion to approve basically the adoption of the roadmap with a proposed final report no later than the February meeting and a final report no later than the April
And that's
meeting.
how that rolls.
That's our goal.
So we went from being a suggestion to a mandate.
These are our goals.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor
Second.
Chiatti, seconded by Councilmember Lincoln. Is there any additional discussion?
Living with a heavier backpack.
If not, hey, I adopted the dates you said.
Yes.
Okay, it was your fault. Should have been quiet on the dates. I was giving you more time. Show that adopted without objection. Is there anything else to come in front of the council? If not, it's 12:04, pretty close. Please show the meeting of the SFRPC for November 2022 adjourned.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. And, you know, remember to wish Isabel a happy birthday. It's her birthday on Thursday.
That's right. Lift up a toast.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Hang on.
All right.
Okay.